This is an impromptu live. I just figured we'd go ahead and just do it without trying to overthink it or overplan or, hi. What I would normally do is procrastinate. Hey, I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about what coaching is, what life coaching is, and what are the most common breakthroughs that my clients have. So, a lot of y'all on here initially followed me because of dance, and I'm still a dancer. Nothing has changed about that. The Lion's Den is not going anywhere. If anything, we're growing very quickly, and I'm super excited. But I have taken on coaching, and it has changed my life completely. And so today's chat is going to give you some clarity on what exactly is coaching, how is it different from therapy or consulting or things like that. So therapy, you have to be a licensed professional for therapy. Hey! Therapists often deal a lot with things that have happened in the past and about healing those wounds. And I'm not saying that that's not possible within coaching, but that's specifically what therapy is centered around. Now, consulting, when someone works with me, it depends on their goals. You may get the consultant side of me if you're looking to start a business or if you're looking to take an idea and turn it into an actual finished product or service. And so I do have a few clients that have sought me out specifically because they want to grow their business or grow their creative passion. But coaching, the amazing thing about coaching is that I partner with you as my client in helping you achieve your goals. And so we would actually create a plan centered around the biggest desires and breakthroughs that you want to have. But the great thing about coaching with me is I have a very variety of training and background in positive psychology, in mindfulness, in spirituality that I can bring to the table. And so oftentimes my clients, there's a lot of mindset blocks around their self-value, their self-worth, cultivating the confidence to do certain things. And I do work with both men and women. Hey, I work both with men and women, and primarily right now, 100% of my clients are people of color. I am not just only doing things with people of color, but that's how it's happened to be. But as a second generation immigrant, my parents came here from the Philippines. What I found is this commonality amongst us that there are just certain ways of being and thinking and living a life that we picked up from our childhood, that we picked up on the way that we were raised, that we picked up on what our parents placed on us as a goal or as something to desire, coming here to the States, right? And so oftentimes our parents, if they are, first or second generation immigrants, it's out of a survival mindset. And so oftentimes we grow up and we think that life and success is supposed to look a certain way. I'm supposed to go to college and get the job and then have a family and kids. But if anything, I think you've seen that life doesn't always pan out that way, and it doesn't mean it's wrong, and it doesn't mean that we're failing in life. And I think for me personally, I didn't have anyone in my life growing up that told me that dance and creativity is a career, that entrepreneurship is a thing that could actually work for me. And so majority of my 20s, I spent that time trying to somehow do a 9-to-5 job and do dance. And then I thought I wanted to move to LA. And then I realized I didn't want to move to LA and God was not calling me to move there. And so what I do is I partner with my client. I meet them where they're at. But what's helpful is to have the lens of a second generation immigrant, of knowing what it's like to try and please our parents, to desire approval from our family, to desire approval from, for me personally, my siblings. It's opposite. Like I have Filipino parents and they supported me in dance. They supported me studying dance in college and invested money in me for me to train in dance. I made the decision not to move to LA because I didn't like it. And I felt like God was calling me to stay here in the DC area. But for me, I know that I still have a lot of healing to do around getting approval from some of my half siblings. And that's something that I'm working through. So coaching is a space where you can come as you are, and I'm not here giving you advice as your coach. I'm here to stand for you. I'm here to hold a container and a space for you to just voice everything without judgment. And how it's different is because any other relationship that you're in, that person's going to give you their opinion. That person's going to project, their lens of success, their lens of how life should be. But when you're in a coaching space, there's none of that. It's me sitting with you. And not only are we going to talk about things, we're actually going to set things in plan to make movement, to have some forward movement in achieving your goals. And now what I've found is I'm way more likely to achieve my goals when I have accountability, when I have to show up for someone every week, when I have to report back, right? So I hope that kind of gives you some clarity if you don't know what life coaching is. If you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat. Hey, friends that are on here, I've just been sharing what coaching is and what are the main breakthroughs that I have with my clients. And that has been that a lot of us have been living a life that our parents wanted for us. And then we wake up in our 30s and our 40s and not loving life because we've been living someone else's narrative. And so I hold this space for you to get really honest with yourself, to discover the truth within inside you, because we all have our own truth. We all have our own divine purpose. But a lot of us are looking elsewhere and going no, that's not a good phrase, getting overwhelmed, trying to find our purpose in all the wrong places when it's right here. But oftentimes we don't stop and pause long enough to figure out what that is. And so with my background of being a Christian, and you don't have to be a Christian to work with me, but being a Christian, being a spiritual person, knowing mindfulness, knowing how to rewire my brain to create new neural pathways and new mindsets and belief systems, I can partner with you to have that breakthrough. Now, that doesn't mean that life is good 100% of the time. Life is life. We cannot control other people. And a lot of the times we cannot control our circumstances. Hence the pandemic. Hence all the BS that's happening in our world right now. But what we can do is set ourselves up for success. Is to remain steadfast in who we are and in our identity, so that no matter what's happening out there, I know who the hell I am and I know what I stand for. So if that sounds like something like you, or you know someone who's looking for a coach who I promise you can deliver results that are not just temporary but long lasting, send them this video or tag them or send my profile over to them. I'm asking you as my community to help me find those that are looking for a coach. And I work with men and women because fellas need the love too. Everything I see online is specifically for women. Okay, that's great. Women need stuff, but so do our men. And if we're holding up our men to this standard to be the provider or whatever belief system you have, we are in 2021, but we place so much pressure on them, but they don't have a space to release, to talk about the shit that's on their mind, the stuff that's on their heart. And half my clients right now are men. I love the men. Because they just keep it real, So all that to say, coaching is me standing with you to take a look ahead, partner with you in your goals to get shit done, but to also reframe your mindset. Because if we only focus on the external, if we only focus on the behavioral changes, but we don't look at what's happening in our mind or what's happening here, of all things, it's not going to last. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect. But what it does is we start to build self-awareness for our own limited beliefs. It starts to build awareness of where I've been placing my blame on someone else in my life. Have I subconsciously blamed someone else for where I'm at? Am I still living in pain from something that hurt me years ago? Has it stifled my confidence to do the things that I want to do? Those are the things that we would look at in our sessions, in our one-on-one sessions. So it's way more than just me sitting there with you and asking you really powerful questions. But I do have the space and the ability to help you unpack pain that's living inside the body, as a movement practitioner, as someone who is trauma informed, as someone who has actual pain in my own body, as someone that lives with polycystic ovarian syndrome, a condition that has no cure. There is such a strong connection between mind, body, and spirit. And so it's only one step to take care of the mindset. It's another thing to take care of the body, the vessel, and another thing to get clear on how your heart is. On the judgments that we place on other people, the judgment that we place on ourselves, I'll say that. We're so nice to everyone else. We're so patient with everyone else. But when it comes to us, it's like we're expecting us to be perfect, to have it all together, to not make a mistake. And that is a recipe for burnout, a recipe for anxiety and depression. And so if you're just joining, hello. I just shared on what coaching is and the main breakthroughs that my clients have had. And to let you know that I do have a few one-on-one spots open starting in mid-March. And if that's you, click the link in my bio. Sending you love. I hope this resonated. Feel free to drop a question, but I just went in. If you're just joining, I'm talking about coaching and the main breakthroughs and the breakthroughs I've had as a second-generation immigrant, as a Filipino American that feels like a guest to my own culture, that feels like a guest to my own family. How the hell do I navigate that? Well, you know what I did? I took my pain, I redirected it, and I put it into my passions. Why do you think I created the Lion's Den? It's not just because I want to have weekly events, monthly events. It's because I saw how much pain I went through being in spaces where I didn't feel seen, heard, and acknowledged. Where I wasn't Filipino enough, skinny enough, educated enough, because I got a degree in dance, right? But I didn't let those things ever stop me from doing what I want to do. So I took my pain, I turned it into my passion. The Lion's Den exists because I truly believe at my core that everyone belongs. I truly believe at my core that dance and movement needs to be accessible. I truly believe at my core that community is the cornerstone for creativity, for healing, for accountability, for joy. So that's what I wanted to say on here. It was an impromptu live. And if you tuned in and you stayed the whole time, thank you. And if you or someone you know is looking for a coach, I work with both men and women. And I have some spots open. And I'd love to connect with you. So click that link in my bio or join my newsletter just so you can stay in the know of everything that's happening. And if you want to dance, I'm leading a free workshop through the ODU Alumni Association at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then there's a house class tonight at the Lion's Den at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All of that, link in my bio, sending you so much love. You don't have to do life alone. You don't have to heal alone. You can do it in a space where you feel held. Thanks so much. This is Lauren, your favorite coach on the gram. Talk to you soon.